Hello, everyone, and welcome to Evidence Mastery. I'm your host, Dr. Masood Tusi. Today we're tackling something big, a topic that's really shaking up the world of medical research and regulation.
We are going to break down the European Medicines Agency's, or EMA's, brand new guidance. It's all about a data quality framework for real-world evidence. And let me tell you, this document is going to be absolutely essential for, well, pretty much anyone working in our field.
So this wasn't just an EMA thing. It's actually a landmark framework that they developed in this really crucial collaboration with the heads of medicines agencies. You'll see it as HMA. And why is that partnership so important? Well, it's a huge signal of a unified European approach. The goal here is to standardize how all of us assess the quality of real-world data. It's about getting everyone on the same page. Okay, so here's what we've got on tap. We'll start with the new EMA framework itself, then dig into the unique challenges of real-world data. After that, we'll look at the three core components of the framework, figure out what assessing fitness for use really means, and then wrap it all up with the key takeaways. Ready? Let's jump in. All right, first up, the new EMA framework. Let's get right to the heart of it. Why did they even create this? And who is it really for? The whole mission here, really, is to build a reliable and consistent way for everyone, and I mean everyone, from industry to us in academia to the regulators, to evaluate the data that real-world evidence is built on. It's the bedrock, right? So ultimately, it's all about building trust and transparency in the submissions we all work on. It's about making sure the decisions we make are based on the absolute best evidence we can get. But that begs the question, right? Why do we need a specific framework just for real-world data? And, well, the answer takes us right to the heart of the matter. It's about the very nature of RWD itself. So, yeah, let's talk about the challenges of real-world data. We're going to look at everything from its heterogeneity to its secondary use. These are the unique traits that make a really rigorous framework like this one so incredibly important. Okay, so this really gets to the core challenge. Real-world data is, well, it's messy. It comes from all over the place. EHRs, insurance claims, patient registries, you name it. Each one has its own format, its own lingo, its own purpose. And here's the kicker. This data was almost never collected for research. It was collected for taking care of patients. So you're trying to use data for a purpose it wasn't designed for. That's the huge gap this new framework is trying to bridge. And because of that complexity, this is where the idea of a partnership is just so critical. Think of it like a two-way street. Data quality is a shared responsibility. On one side, you have the data holders, the hospitals, the registries. It's their job to document the data's history, its provenance. But on the other side, you've got the data users. That's us, the researchers and sponsors. Our job is to take that information and figure out if the data is actually right for our specific question. Okay, so how do we actually manage all this complexity? This is where it gets really interesting. The EMA hasn't just given us a bunch of rules. They've given us a practical toolkit, and they've broken it down into three core components. So the whole framework really stands on these three pillars. It gives us a checklist, a set of quality metrics, and an assessment guide. Think of it as a complete toolkit to get the job done right. Let's dig into that first tool, the Data Source Characterization Checklist. And believe me, this is not just some simple tick box exercise, no way. It's a really deep dive. It covers 12 critical areas of data governance and management. We're talking about everything, from why the data was collected in the first place, to the tech infrastructure behind it, all the way to data privacy. It's designed to give you that essential 360-degree view of where your data is actually coming from. All right, tool number 2, data quality metrics. So, what are these? They're basically just quantitative measures, real numbers, that help us assess the intrinsic quality of a data set. This is all before you even think about your specific research question. We're talking about things like how complete is it? How reliable are the entries? It gives you a baseline for the raw material you're working with. And now for the third component, which is really where the magic happens. This is what connects those objective metrics to the very specific needs of your study. The framework is super clear about this. You, the researcher, have to define what acceptable reliability looks like, or what sufficient data means for your unique question. This is the step where generic data quality turns into specific, actionable insight for your project. And this right here, this brings us to what is maybe the most crucial point of the entire framework. Data quality isn't some absolute universal thing. It all comes down to one question. Is the data right for your question? I mean, the guidance itself says it perfectly.
The assessment of the adequacy of such quality can only be defined in relation to a question. Think about that. There are no universal pass-fail grades here. It's all about context. Context is absolutely everything.
So, how does the framework actually put this idea into practice? Well, it lays out this brilliant two-step assessment process. First, you do a high-level relevance check. You're basically asking, is this data source even in the right ballpark for what I need? If the answer is yes, then you move on to the really detailed, in-depth fitness assessment, and you build that right into your study protocol. It's a fantastic way to make sure your evaluation is both super rigorous and highly relevant. Okay, let's wrap this up. What are the key takeaways? What does this new framework actually mean for us, the people who are in the trenches working with this data every single day? Look, if you take away just a few things from this, let it be these. First, structure is key. This DQF gives us a standard, transparent way to do things. Second, it's a team sport. Quality is a shared responsibility. Third, and this is so important, context matters most. Fitness for use is always tied to a research question. And finally, it gives us real actionable tools, that checklist, those metrics, so we can move forward and use real-world evidence with confidence, especially when it comes to regulatory decisions.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us here on Evidence Mastery. I really hope this breakdown of the new EMA framework has given you some valuable insights you can take back to your own work. Now, if you want to dive even deeper into this topic, I'm really excited to share that many of these ideas are explored in much more detail in my upcoming book. It's called Real-World Data, Sources and Solutions. You'll be able to find it on Amazon.com starting in December 2026. Thanks again for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time right here on Evidence Mastery.